Hey y'all, I'm your host, Aaron Smith of the Offshore Marine Service Association. Each Friday, I'll bring you the Offshore Briefing, a quick rundown of the week's notable developments, updates, and news you need to know in the offshore space. Whether you're on deck or at your desk, we're glad you're here. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Offshore Briefing. This is the third episode of Maritime in America, our second offshore briefing. And just a little reminder on format here, we were going to be doing approximately one a month long form interview, and then every week on Fridays will be the offshore briefing, which will be a short little just recap of some of the maritime news over the last week. So I know, and just kind of what we have been up to, and just to give everyone kind of a sneak peek of what's going on and what's going to be happening, we just recorded what will be episode 5 with 2 special guests, and man, I'm so excited about it. I don't want to give it away who it's going to be, but I'm excited.
It was the best.
Well, Ashley, what were you saying?
I was just saying it was the best.
It was good. It was good. Everyone, please tune in. It's going to be good. Angel, did you like it?
I did. It felt like a full circle moment.
It did. It did.
Good call. Yes, I like that.
It also made me question my parenting. And my life choices too.
Good call. Yes, that should give people some hints on who we're having there. And I just we're like we always do, we're recording this on Thursday afternoon, and just saw recently that we have a new pope. Actually, the first American pope ever. I can't believe that. Actually, that's kind of crazy that this is the first. It's Robert Prevost from Chicago,
Bobby.
and he will be taking the name Pope Leo the 14th. And tying this back to the podcast, it's days like this that I wish Abdon Calais Offshore was still around, because if anyone remembers that company, and it was a great company, actually former OMSA board member, in fact, they had the best named vessels ever. And they were, Calais family was very steeped in their Catholic faith, and they put it on the bow of their vessels. And I remember my favorite boat name was the Infant Jesus of Prague. The name went all the way down the bow. So, I'm sure that if that company was still around, they'd be naming a boat after Pope Leo today. So
Interesting.
So I think, what was that, Ashley?
That's just another 2 things I learned today. A, we have a pope, and B, about Abdon Calais' vessel names.
Oh, it was great.
All
It was
about
great.
learning and growth today.
Yep. And if anyone, I'm sure some of our listeners used to work for Abdon Calais, so maybe some people will list some comments of some of their favorite vessel names. But Ashley, what have you been working on today?
Oh, just a little thing called the golf tournament tomorrow. The weather is not stopping us. We're going to still party and have fun. 8:30 a.m. shotgun start. So I've been working on that, and our DC events next week. I cannot keep all of the sponsors for our boil on one list. If another company comes on board, I don't know what I'm going to do, because there are so many people coming. And that's just the sponsors or companies, if you will. That's not even the 475 Hill staffers and members of Congress and other DC affiliates that have RSVP'd. So just a little going on, just a little.
Oh, well, don't look at the RSVP list now, because it is 475 is going to look like a walk in the park compared to what it is now.
Oy vey.
And unlike last offshore briefing, where Angel indicated that Ashley and I were just cruising around attending receptions while she worked, without mentioning that we offered her the chance to attend the IPF, actually said she should go instead.
She smartly declined, which I wish I could have.
But Angel is going to get to experience DC for the first time as someone going to DC for work next week, and so I will love to view it through your eyes.
I think buckle up.
It's going to be an interesting walk through the hill, but looking forward to the crawfish part.
It's going to be great. And, in in the briefing news, our story of the week that I'm focusing on comes from DC. Um, so if anyone has heard, and I'm going to, in addition to nerding out over vessels and maritime issues, which I think our listeners have come to learn that I'm good at doing. I also like to nerd out over congressional happenings. And so I want to kind of give some insight into what's going on there. If anyone has heard the president talking about a big, beautiful bill, it's been in the news a lot lately, but I want to kind of go through and talk about what's in that bill for maritime because it's just starting to be cobbled together right now. This is, to me, an interesting process because it's called a reconciliation bill, and kind of weird. Um, Congress can only do one reconciliation bill a year, and in that bill can only be issues dealing with money. Like it can't be changes to laws; it can only be financial issues. And actually, the bill has to pass. If you think about it, the bill kind of has to pass twice. It has to pass as the budget, and then the budget says, hey, Congress, you got to find this much savings, or you got to decrease taxes by this much, or you have to change Medicare by this much. And then after that passes, then it again has to pass as the reconciliation bill. So because it has to pass twice, the thresholds for the votes that take to pass it are lower than what would normally be required through the Senate, which, Ashley, I'm sure you'll tell all of our listeners that it usually takes 60 votes to pass something through the Senate, correct?
Exactly.
Yes, thank you for filling in. That's good insight there, Ashley. Um, so this makes it easier, but again, you kind of have a double jeopardy. It has to pass twice, if you will, and it can only handle financial matters. Excuse me. So then what happens is kind of even weird. Is given as instructions to each committee. So like the tax writing committee is given instructions of you have to find this much in savings. And the committee that deals with Medicaid, you have to find this much in savings. Well, the committee that deals with Coast Guard in the House is called the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. In the Senate, it's the Senate Commerce Committee. And late last week, the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee came up with their version of the reconciliation bill. They considered it in the committee. And Ashley, I'm sure you'll tell our listeners that when a committee considers a bill, it's called a markup, right?
Correct. For the record, I worked on Capitol Hill for approximately 1 month and was an intern for John Breaux. And I would take naps on his couch and read books. And he would come in every day and say, why is the intern on my couch? And then I decided the Hill was not for me.
Or the Hill decided you weren't for it. We're still TBD on who decided who.
He was the best, though. I miss John Breaux.
I miss Senator Breaux as well. Senator Breaux was a great legislator. So T&I, Transportation Infrastructure, marked up its reconciliation bill last week. And this was the story that I really wanted to focus on because this bill might contain the largest source of funding for the United States Coast Guard ever. Specifically, it includes $21.2 billion for the Coast Guard, and that'll be over I guess over a 10-year period here, I believe. I forget, sometimes bills will be a 1 year, sometimes they will have a 10-year scoring. But I believe that's a 10-year funding level. And I'm sure I'll be corrected if I'm wrong there. But that within that is $1 billion for fast response cutters, FRCs. That's a kind of the smaller Coast Guard cutter. Um, it also has 4.97 billion for Arctic security cutters and domestic icebreakers. And I think that's a great uh, investment in not only our national security apparatus and homeland security apparatus, but also in our shipyards to help build out the U.S. shipyard capabilities. And I really give credit to how the committee works. Is there's the full committee, the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and that's headed by Sam Graves of Missouri, who's been a longtime chairman of T&I Committee. He's a great friend to AMSA, great friend to the maritime industry. And then the under that committee is the subcommittee on Coast Guard and maritime transportation. And that subcommittee is headed by Congressman Mike Ezell of Mississippi. And Congressman Ezell, Chairman Ezell, is new. He's in his first term as chairman, and he is just a great friend and a great ally to the industry. His staff is great to work
I was
with.
just about to say, and has a phenomenal staff.
Yes, if you're coming with us to DC, we're actually going to be hearing from his legislative director on Monday, who's just an amazing congressional staffer, and Chairman Ezell is great as well. So it's a really cool opportunity to have icebreakers built, to have more Coast Guard cutters, and to really invest in the U.S. maritime supply chain. So that was the story that I saw. Did anyone see anything else in the maritime industry?
I have not. I've been doing a little bit other kind of work. But I did search for that time period, and it's about it says it depends on the project, but probably about 3 to 5 years.
Oh, to build the vessel, yeah. I would say to a icebreaker, yeah, a build of 3 years for the icebreaker is yes, very good. I think the funding extends out because this isn't just building one; this is building a series of them.
Mhm. And how
Good.
do we know how many?
I don't think it says yet, no. So, but I'm excited for it. And, I think what's also important to remember is that you have to have the vessels and you have to have the capabilities. You also have to have the certainty to invest. And if you have other countries who are coming in and who are allowed to operate by a different set of rules, it's hard for vessel operators and vessel owners to make those investment decisions because they know they're not going to compete on a level playing field. So, in that respect, we need funding for the icebreakers, but we also need changes in the law to ensure that U.S. mariners and U.S. shipyards and U.S. vessel owners aren't disadvantaged in our own country. And I know that's what we're working on in AMSA. So, and hope to have some good updates on that later. And I'm sure that when we do have updates on that, it will be Congressman Ezell and Congressman Graves. We'll be working in our other champions like Congressman Scalise and Speaker Johnson and Congressman Garamendi will be because of that. So, that's all I have for our offshore briefing for this week. Hope everyone continues to tune in. If there are topics you want to hear considered, if there are speakers you want to have, please let us know. But we will just keep bringing these stories to you and hope everyone enjoys. So with that, I'm signing off, getting ready for the AMSA Golf Tournament and then the AMSA DC visits next week.
Yep, me too. Y'all have a good one.
All right, take care. Everyone be safe.
Have a nice one.